my name's Jan Radu. Thanks for joining me today. I'm from stampingelegance.com. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up and I live in Western Australia. I'm really pleased you came to my channel today. I'm going to be playing around with my #1 pick for from the new annual catalogue, I should say, from Stampin' Up. So this launched on the 4th of May, so still feels brand new. And my #1 pick for this catalogue that was top of my list was the Expressions in Ink suite. So that'll give you a little bit of an idea of the look of the suite. It's actually the one that's on the front cover. And today we're going to be playing around with a design that I've been sharing on Instagram and Facebook quite a bit over the last few months, and I've had a few queries on putting a video together and how this card comes together. So let's call it a partial die cut card, a flip top card. As you can see, it's actually just one long piece of card using partial die cuts to create that cute feature at the top. And then I've put a little pocket inside with your little note card for your message to your recipient. So it's just a really fun layout. You can use lots of different dies to create different shapes at the top. So how about we jump to the craft desk and I'll show you how to put this together. So let's talk about the hero of this suite, which is absolutely the artistically inked stamp set. So it's a red rubber stamp set, so you're going to get really nice in depth of detail in the stamping. And I like this one because it's got some really solid sentiments. So you've got, of course, the happy birthday, the thanks, best wishes, which can be for all sorts of occasions. And I love a hello. Hello is a really cute kind of card to send when you're just thinking about somebody. So that's the artistically inked stamp set. It comes in a bundle, which you can save 10% if you buy the bundle, with the artistic dies. Now these are pretty gorgeous too. So with these dies, you've got a few that coordinate with the stamp. So let's just lay those out so you can see those there. So we've got these ones here. We've got the cute little flowers. And of course the leaves, which are going to come in very handy on all sorts of projects. So we've got the leaves, and then we've got these two gorgeous dies. So this one is a really detailed leaf die, and then you've got this beautiful floral. I can pull that one off. And with this one, it's sort of designed, I've seen a lot of cards already, and even in the catalogue, that have kind of layered over the stamped images. So even though they don't coordinate perfectly, they're creating that really interesting artistic look. So this is definitely a winner in my book, and I'm going to have lots of fun playing with it. So let's just move all these out of the way. So normally I set up my dies on a magnetic sheet, but these are pretty fresh. I've just received them. I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I'll just move those to the side. The other thing I wanted to point out was the DSP that comes in the suite, which is just stunning. So this is the Expressions in Ink Specialty Designer Series paper. It's got some beautiful designs, and one side of them has this really, really, really luscious gold detail. I'm sure hopefully you can see that on the video. There's some beautiful prints in there. I can't wait to play with this green one. This is the one we're going to be using today. Yes, it's a bit scary cutting up such a beautiful piece of paper, but I promise it'll be worth it. This is another beautiful design with a little bit of gold on there, and this is one of my favorite new ink colors. This is the Pale Papaya. Love it, absolutely love it. So I can't wait to create with that one too. So let's have a closer look at the card that we're making today. So as you can see, we've got the flip design. I use the retired stitched circle framelets for this one. So I'm going to switch to using our layering circle dies, and I'll give you all the measurements. Actually, I'll bring that in now so you can take a screenshot, or a quick screenshot, but it will be on my blog. Once this video is live, you'll be able to jump on and have a look. I'll have some instructions on there and all of the measurements that you need too. So how about we just jump in? Let's get started. So we'll bring the trimmer in, that's vital. I'm going to use Polished Pink, which is one of our new ink colours for our card base. And the first cut we're going to make is 10.5 centimeters wide, which is our standard card base here in Australia. And then I'm actually going to cut the length of my card base at 28. So we'll just pull the arm out there. We'll measure along to 28 and make that cut. So the next thing we're going to do is our scoring. So we're going to move our cutting blade up out of the way and bring in our scoring blade, which is the lighter one. And I'm going to make a score mark at 11.5 centimeters, but I only want to score in as far as my die is going to go. So let's see, this is the die. This particular one I needed to score about 1.5 centimeters, I think it was. So let's bring the die in and see how far we actually need to score along. So I'm using the Layering Circles dies. I'm going to use the largest and I'm going to go the scalloped. So one handy thing I found was actually marking the die in the middle with a Sharpie. So let's just quickly do that. So if I measure, this one is roughly 8 by 8. Can you see that there? I'm slightly off screen, but you'll get the gist in a minute. So that's 8 by 8. So I'm just going to go 4 and I'm going to mark along at the halfway point, and that's going to help me place my die. So let's have a look at, so if this is 8 centimeters and this is 10.5, so we really just want to score, because it's basically going to be laying up like that. So we really only want to score around about the 1 centimeter mark in there, and we can always adjust it after. So let's line up our cardstock at 11.5, and I'm going to bring my scoring blade, make sure your cutting blade is out of the way, and using the guide here, I am going to come down to the 1 cent, press down for scoring and come down to the 1 centimeter, and then I'm going to bring my scoring blade here, and we're at 10.5, so I'm going to go up 1 centimeter to the 9.5 mark. Let's have a look what that looks like. Might be a little bit hard to see on camera. Hopefully you can see my score lines there and there. We can do a little test once we lay the die up. I think that's going to work nicely. So we've scored at 11.5, and now we need to score at 23. So we're going to move along to 23 and we'll score there. So that's our card base, cut and scored, ready for die cutting. So we'll move the trimmer out of the way. Now I'm going to apologise for the table rocking when I do this die cutting, because I'm on a sit-stand table to help my crafting with, I get a bit of a sore back, so I find standing up to craft really helps. But unfortunately that means it's going to wobble a little bit, so we'll just deal with that. So I'm going to bring in my Big Shot platform and 2 cutting plates. Now, if you're using the new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, then just use the cutting standard platforms according to that machine's instructions. Now, what we're going to do is this is the pocket. So let's fold that first so we get a bit of an idea. So if that's the pocket, this is going to fold down, which means we want this section next to the pocket to be the section that we're cutting. So we're going to lay it there with the pocket at the top, and we're going to place our die using the marks that we made at the halfway. We're going to place that there. Now, if you need to put a little bit of masking tape or low tack tape to hold that in place, by all means go ahead. So this is where it becomes important. We only want to cut this section up here. We don't want to cut the bottom part where the die is. So what we need to do is layer our cutting plate only in the section that we want to cut, and that way when the rollers press down, they'll apply the force to cut up here, but they won't be applying any force to cut down here. And that is the principle of partial die cutting. Now, as you can see on my plates, I've got a beveled edge. It's only going to cut up to the edge of that flat piece. It's not really going to cut on the bevel. So therefore I'm lining up the flat section of my plate, not the very edge, with where I want it to cut. So making sure it's all stayed nice and even, exactly where we want. So we're checking the score lines, we're checking that's lined up, we've got it nice and firm there, and then we're just going to line up our cutting plate. Press down as you roll it through so it keeps it in the right position. Okay. So when I bring this out, you'll see now what we can do is fold that back. And once we fold that in and secure it, that is the basis of our flip card. It's really simple. It's not a really difficult card to make. It looks quite tricky, but once you know the way to set up your die cutting machine, it's really fun and it becomes quite addictive. So ideally you wouldn't take this die off before you do the next step. So let's just position it again. And you can see you can feel it when it slots into position there. And we'll just put the little sticky tape up the top there. Now what we need to do is cut our DSP piece for the front, and that is going to be 10 by 11 centimeters. So I've decided to go for a combination of this one here with a little trim of the gold, and the gold is going to go that way. So I want 11 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide. So I'm going to cut this whole piece at 10 centimeters wide, 10 centimeters wide. And then I'm going to cut at 11. This is going to give me this really nice white space here, and this becomes almost like a bit of a border. So we'll cut that one at 11. Okay, and I'm going to cut the inside piece as well at this point in time. So that is this piece here in the back. So that's the same measurements, that's 10 by 11 as well. And keep in mind, I want my stripes to be vertical, so I'm going to 10 by 11. So we're going to cut that at 10 wide, and that's also going to be 11. Okay, so I'm going to take the piece of DSP that I want to use for inside my card. Let me just lay that there so you can see. So this piece of DSP, I am going to tuck underneath while I've still got my die in place. And I'm just going to make sure I've got a nice even border around all sides of my card. And then I'm going to transfer the sticky to here. Then what I can do is take this DSP and the die off my card base, pop it back down, and run that one through the big shot. So when I take that off, what I now have is a piece of DSP that matches inside my card. Okay. So that matches up nicely inside my card. So you can imagine once I've folded that, that's how that's going to look. And I also have, for the outside of my card, you can bring the other piece of DSP in. So we're going to pop that one down, and then I can lay that one there, and I'm getting that nice coordinated look like here where you've got the DSP down there. So nothing gets wasted with this one. So let's stick those down. That's a good starting place. Just use a little bit of Stampin' Seal. So we'll pop this one down first. It's on my card front. And then we'll just pop a coordinated one down. just matching edge to edge, and it continues the scallops as well. You can see I've got a little bit of die cutting that's gone over my score line, but that doesn't affect the way the card flips. It's really just about when you roll it through the machine where the cutting plates line up. So that gives me that really nice, oh, how cute is pink and gold? So that's a nice coordinated look. And then let's pop the inside in. I really want to do a little bit at the top each side, just to make sure that that sticks. Okay, so just take the time to match up your scallops here. And they're going to line up essentially with the top folds of your card. So don't worry too much that there's a bigger border left at the bottom, because we're going to secure that up there and you're not going to see it. So we're getting this really nice coordinated look coming together. So now we need to do this strip of DSP down here, and that one is 10 by 4.5 centimeters. I think I want to do it with the matching gold. So this one here we did cut at 10, so I can cut that at 4.5. Just make sure that was 10. Yep, that's right. Now I like to just secure the one side of my flap there, and then your writing card can easily come in and out. If you secured both, you would need to make this card quite a bit smaller so that it would slip in and out easily. So that's how I've gotten around that and enabled me to make a larger insert. So the insert is going to be, the DSP we're going to cut at 8.5 by 10.5, and then the white, basic white, is going to be 5 centimeters shorter, or half a centimeter shorter than that, 8 by 10. So what piece will we use? I think what we'll use is the pink. Oh, how nice is that on the back? Oh, what a shame. Yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do is use this section. So the back of the DSP will be here, and then the front will show. That's a nice way to not waste that lovely bit of cardstock. Okay, so this one is going to be 10.5 by, I'm going to cut off the orange side, by 8.5. I'm swapping trimmers left, right and centre here, aren't I? And my basic white piece is going to be 8 by 10. So I'm going to cut 10. So that's my standard card front, and I can utilise that later for another project. And then we'll cut along at 8. Oh, that's the scoring. That's not going to work. So that now has our nice writing insert. We will do some stamping on there, and I've utilised that gorgeous back section there too. I'm going to use tear-in tape to hold this down, just so that I know it's got a really good solid adhesion. Is that a word? Adhesion? I think it is. Stick. Stick is probably a better crafting term, isn't it? Just tear that off. Use my bone folder to make sure that's got a really nice stick. Okay, so we'll peel that one up and secure it in place. See how quickly it comes together. And we won't stick this one down yet because we are going to do some stamping on it. But as you can see, that one will stick in there. Okay, so now let's do our decoration for here. So the ink colours that I'm going to use for the front of my card are all in colours for this year, brand new colours. So we've got Evening Evergreen. We're going to put a little bit of pale papaya, which I think picks up the gold and just adds another interest, so it's not pink overload. And then this absolutely gorgeous polished pink, which reminds me a bit of Barbie pink. I'm really loving playing with this one. So I'll just pop that one up there. Bring in some basic white, And we've got our, so we're going to need our big leaf. We're going to need our flowers. So I'm going to use my large block. So this is an E block for that flower there. This one is a C block. You can see they've just got the little letters on the side. It's a C block. And when you actually buy the, when you look at the stamp set in the catalogue, it actually suggests underneath the stamp set which blocks will work best for it. So that helps you if you're starting from scratch and you don't have any blocks, then you can easily decide which ones you need to buy. So this one is the B. And of course, if you just got this one, then you could actually stamp the smaller stamps. But what you find is the smaller stamp on the surface, you end up kind of picking up ink on the large block, and that often transfers to your cards. So I do say definitely get a larger 100%, but a couple of small ones can be really useful and don't make such a mess when you're stamping. Although there's nothing wrong with making a mess when you're stamping, is there? Okay, so let's do the leaves first. And this is an alcohol ink look that this whole suite has been designed around. And I just want to draw to your attention, like that's just one stamp, and all of the different texture and depth in that is just very, very clever. So I'm just going to stamp a bunch of leaves. And I actually think doing that along a border of a card would look really cute, just the leaves alone. Okay, so we'll do some papaya. And these are red rubber stamps, so I'm not stamping with my foam mat underneath because they actually want a nice hard firm surface to stamp on. You get a better effect that way with these. Okay, I've got another few stamps to get out. I'm going to get this little one out here. We'll do that one in papaya as well. I'm going to clean this one off. So if for those that haven't seen this, this is our Stampin' Scrub and it's our stamp cleaner. Mine's it's got a little bit of fluff going on. I'm going to have to give it a bit of a wash, but we've essentially got a wet side and a dry side, and then just you pop your Stampin' Mist on the wet side and you just give your stamps a slight scrub and then you dry them off over there. And the Stampin' Scrub lasts for years and you don't need an awful lot of Stampin' Mist. I've actually diluted mine in the past because it's quite strong and it does a beautiful job cleaning the stamps even when it is a little diluted with water. So we'll get our polished pink. Just check that's got a nice even ink. Gorgeous. And with this one here, I'm going to do a full strength stamp, and then I'm going to do a stamped off version as well. Actually, I think I want to do that with the pale papaya as well. So we'll just do another couple of pale papaya so that we can get that stamped off version as well. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is our sentiment, and I'm going to do that in the Evening Evergreen as well. So I am going to use the hello. I'll just pick that up on my block. Let's do a couple of those. Okay, so I'm going to run all of the flowers through the die cutting machine, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with my sentiment. There's a little trick on how to get some extra shapes out of your rectangle dies. So I've run my pieces through the dies and I've got a lovely selection of florals there. I've also cut a basic white circle from the Layering Circles dies, and I think I've gone 2 sizes down. Let me just double check that. I just wanted a little bit more gold showing than, so that's the size we cut for our surround, and then I probably could have gone that size for the white, but I've actually gone 1 size down, and that just allows me a little bit more gold showing through there. Now, what I want to show you is something I shared on my Instagram, which is how do you a little bit more out of your rectangle dies. So if you have a look at this white piece here, it's actually stitched all the way around. Now I made that by using the rectangle die and cutting it normally in a rectangle, and then just shifting the die slightly to create that angle. And I think it comes up with some really nice interesting shapes. You just get a little bit more out of your supplies than what they were actually, you know, intended for when they were designed. And that's the best thing about a craft stash, is if you can use one thing in, you know, more than one way. So let me show you with our sentiment how I did that. Move all of that out the way. So I'm just bringing in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is great for little dies like sentiment dies when you're on the go, traveling and taking a few crafting supplies, or maybe going to a, you know, a weekend crop or something like that. Sides just fold down, and they've got a set of cutting plates and embossing plates as well, and you obviously just use the correct plates depending on the instructions. So we're going to put plate 1 in, and then I've got 2 of the plate 2s, which is my cutting plates. Now I want to show you a bit of a tip here. Mine's quite bowed, and the reason being is I made the mistake of continually cutting on one side, and I now need to flip it over and keep cutting on this side to flatten the plate out. So if you have that problem, that's definitely what you need to do, is just keep swapping the plates over when you are using them. Okay, so I've got my stamped sentiment. I'll bring in the rectangle stitched framelets. Now I'm going to use this small one here. Now, of course, it would be perfectly fine to just use the rectangle, but I'm going to show you what I did. So I'm just going to line it up in the bottom corner. I'll just secure that with a bit of tape, and we'll run that one through. And the other another tip with this machine is it really likes for the plates to be staggered before you run it in. It just makes it for an easier rolling experience. And then because it's quite light, you really do need to hold the top of the machine while you roll it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to angle my die again over there, creating a nice geometric kind of shape on there, and then I can just secure that again. And you can imagine that you never get the same shape twice, which is a bit fun. So I'll run that one through. Just pop my machine away. And now when you pull your sentiment out, you get that really cute angled look. And I think it's really fun, a nice little spot to put a sequin there. So have a play with the dies that you've got in your stash. I think you'll find you'll get a lot more out of them than you expected. One up in its die and just pop it down. And I'm just going to create a bit of a ridge by running my stylus around the edge of the die. It reminds me of a bottle top when you do this with a circle, and then that just gives me that nice kind of raised look there. The Stampin' Pierce mat is definitely what you need to create that. So I'll bring in some dimensionals now, and we'll start putting our card together. So I'm going to pop that one up on dimensionals. Okay, now actually I'm just going to move that dimensional up into the middle, and I'll show you why in a second. I want to leave a gap down here to tuck my ribbon underneath. So I'm just going to centre that there on my card. Okay, so the ribbon I'm using today is the, what are we calling this one? The open weave ribbon in the polished pink in colour. So that's a new ribbon. So all I'll be doing is tucking that under. We'll tie this later once we've placed all the flowers, but I'll just show you. I just wanted a spot to be able to tuck that under like that. So that was my reasoning there. Right, so we've got our sentiment, we've got our flowers. I'm also going to bring in, part of the suite is this ephemera pack. So the Expressions in Ink ephemera pack. Now, this comes with a little set of self-adhesive sequins, which are iridescent, so they're perfect for any colour. And then what you get is a series of gold embellishments. Now, they're protected by tissue paper because they're very delicate. And let's just... That doesn't mean you can't use them though. You need to use them even though they're nice and delicate. Oh, I lost one of them. Here we go. So as you can see, you get a little selection of them and they just pop out. So we're going to use, what are we going to use? Let's use this leaf here. So just delicately separate them. And I think this double leaf here. So we'll pull that one out. So that's going to add to our gold accents. So let's just do a little bit of stacking now. I love all of this texture around here. So I definitely want some of that kind of peeking out. You don't have to be contained in here because your envelope's going to come up here. So you've got a bit of space to overhang your embellishments like that. And then let's go, so it's a polished pink. Let's go the pale papaya down here. We're going to pop our leaves. Let's do them like that. Let's pop this one in there. Oh, they're fun, aren't they? I love the idea of this one dangling down like that. And then if we pop our sentiment over the top there, I think that could be really nice. Okay, and just do a bit of texturing with the flowers so they're not all perfectly flat. Oh, that's a bit cute when they all stand up. Okay, so let's bring our ribbon in. So that's our ribbon there. And now we just need to bring our sentiment in. I don't want it to be totally obscured by the ribbon. So I think what we might do is just pop it flat down onto this flower. So let's do that with a couple of glue dots. That's a bit cute. And then I'm just going to bring in some of these little sequin, iridescent sequins. So we'll just lift those off. Pop a couple down. I did really want one of those in the little hello there. Maybe another one up there. I do like the triangle. So that's the front of our card. And then if I flip that over, let's just have a look and see what we can do in here. I wonder what flower they expected this to be. Is it a rose? It's obviously artistic. So we'll pop that like that. And then so our card goes in there. Oh, that's a bit cute because when it comes out they'll see the flower. They won't actually see it in there. So you've written your nice message in there. Tell a friend that you're thinking about them. And then we've got our hello on the front. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial on how to create the partial die cut flip cards. As you can see, you can create really different looks. I might come back another day with showing you how to do possibly like a more of a slimline rectangular look on that card. But I hope you check out the Expressions in Ink suite in the catalogue. If you live in Australia and you don't have a demonstrator and you'd like a catalogue, send me a message, comment on one of my posts on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love you to subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you again soon.